certainly my great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Mike Lawson. Mike is the genius behind CU Broadcast. I'm sure many of you have, if not heard of CU Broadcast, certainly witnessed or seen and possibly even been interviewed by Mike. He's an interviewer extraordinaire. But today, we're turning the tables on Mike. I'm going to be interviewing Mike instead of Mike interviewing anyone else. So Mike, how does it feel to be on the other side of the interview table?
A little scary, actually, but no, I'm a little nervous, but I think we'll be okay. But using the term genius and my name, oh my gosh, that's now I'm really frightened.
Well, it's true. And again, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us today on our
Happy to
30th anniversary annual meeting. So great.
Yeah. Congrats on that, by the way. That's a pretty big deal for you guys. So well done.
Thank you. It is indeed. All right. So interview question number one.
Oh, here we go.
All of the recent interviews that you've been conducting over the past 6 months or so, what would you say are the biggest issues that you've heard credit union leaders either being concerned about or excited about?
Well, the first one that comes to mind, and I think this has been a constant with all of us ever since online banking became an online thing, is cybersecurity. That is, a huge one, obviously. So that's top of mind for everybody, probably top 3 at least. So yeah, anytime you put cybersecurity in a headline, you're going to get viewers, readers, listeners, what have you, whether you're writing a story in CU Times or doing a podcast on one of the podcasts in the industry or doing a video. So yeah, you're going to get eyeballs for sure when you're talking cybersecurity, especially now with what's going on in the world right now. So a lot of people are very concerned about what's going on out there. So yeah, cybersecurity was the first one that popped to my mind. The second one, which has really kind of risen to the top lately, is the elimination of overdraft fees, or NSFs. So I've seen so many credit unions and financial institutions in general starting to eliminate these. And then now there's talk about, the government getting involved and that type of stuff. So that's been a really big trend that I've seen lately. We've interviewed a number of credit unions who are doing that right now. And it seems like that trend is going to continue. So that's been a big one right now. And I wouldn't know if you'd call it an issue or whatever, but it's just a really big topic. And then the last one that comes to mind, and something that we're all being affected by in one form or one way, is cryptocurrency. Oh my gosh, can you not swing a cat these days? Not that we're swinging cats, but just metaphorically, you can't have a conversation without talking about cryptocurrency and then how it's affecting our lives. And especially in this case, how it's affecting credit unions, so what credit unions are going to be starting to offer cryptocurrency services, and then you take it a step further and how it's going to affect payments down the line and stuff. So yeah, those are if you want to do the top 3, those are the top 3 that came to my mind really, really quickly. So yeah.
Terrific. I won't put you on the spot and ask you if you've invested in crypto yet or not.
So I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Oh my gosh.
I know it's not the easiest subject. I agree. So with COVID over the last couple of years, I'm just curious as to whether or not that's really affected your ability to do interviews, or has most of what you've done over the course of CU Broadcast been done remotely anyway?
Yeah, well, that's how we started, is that we started doing interviews just like this with the split screen format. Way back in 2010, I found this app that worked with Skype that created the split screen format. So, oh my gosh. And I have a degree in broadcast journalism, and I've always wanted to couple my journalism skills with video. And finally, I discovered something where it would help me do it. So that's how we started, was doing the online format. Instead of bringing in, cameras and lights and mics and things like that into your office and traveling halfway across the country to do a video interview in person in an office and disrupting everybody's day, why not do something simple like this? And now this is, kind of second nature to us all because of what's happened the last couple of years, but this is how we started. So having said all that, it didn't affect me all that much. Actually, the last couple of years, I've never been busier doing these types of interviews. So yeah, so it's been quite the opposite, where a lot of people were always saying, yeah, we're all going to be bored sitting around watching Netflix all day. And, but it could have been quite the, and we've all learned that that wasn't really true, because we've all been more busy, ever since the pandemic. So for one reason or another, but where it did affect us was that I traditionally go to in-person conferences, and I have this thing called the Studio Lounge, where we do a live version of CU Broadcast, where we invite attendees of the conference or speakers or hosts or vendors, what have you. And I have this little mini studio set up there, and we do interviews on site. So that obviously affected us a little bit, because nobody was going to in-person conferences. So that was a little bit of a hit for us. So yeah, that was interesting, but the remote stuff didn't affect us at all.
You said that the last couple of years have actually been the busiest. So how many interviews would you say that you've conducted, recorded over the course of a year? What's a good number?
I've never really counted that, because somebody asked me early on this year, how many interviews have you done total? And I've never really counted it. So I went back to where I archive all my videos on Vimeo, and I saw the number, and it was over 5,500 videos, 5,500. That's how many we've done total since 2010. So do the math. so probably over 500 a year, something like that. Wow. So, but early on, we were doing, first couple of years, we only released a video like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, like one a piece, whatever. But maybe 3 years in, we started doing videos every day. And then maybe 5 years in, we started doing multiple videos a day, maybe 2 or 3 videos per day. And then when we go to a conference, we'll do, 20, 30, 40 interviews at a conference. So yeah, so it's, we have a lot of content out there.
Definitely keeping you busy. That's amazing.
Bit, but it's so much fun. I absolutely love it.
That's great. So I'm curious, what inspired you to get into this business? I mean, what gets you jazzed and charged about doing interviews?
Well, it's always been, like I said earlier, I have a degree in broadcast journalism, and I'm perpetually curious. So I really enjoy learning and finding out new things. So I kind of cut my teeth at Scimitar way back in the mid 90s and in the credit union industry. And so I learned about credit unions and how the industry works. And even to my bigger surprises, how open the industry is, how much people share. And other industry, I was in the semiconductor industry for a while, and nobody talked. It was like crickets. Nobody wanted to share their stories. Nobody wanted to, tell their case study. Oh my gosh, we had this problem. We found this solution, and here's our result. Nobody wanted to talk about that stuff. It was pulling teeth. So I found that very frustrating. So I came back to the industry, and it's just really refreshing to hear people really eager to share their stories. And that's what credit unions are all about. They're fantastic in that respect, and many others as well. It's that collaboration thing that really brings out the best in people. So that to me has been been really refreshing part of it. And my favorite part of it is the interview process. And so I really love the interview process, the face-to-face type of, where you can see somebody's expression. Yeah, it's a blast. And I get to see if somebody's mad or they're sad or they're in deep thought or something like that. So I think we all can agree that video is really something that really connects. Much better than maybe a written story. I mean, obviously the written stuff has its place and it's wonderful. I still read a ton to this day, so I love reading. The video or the audio has its place as well. As we know, the proliferation of podcasts is just incredible. Everybody and their dog's mother have a podcast. But it's really exciting to see because there's all this really creative content out there. But for me, the video part of it is what really fascinates me, and the interview part. That's always been my favorite part of the journalism process, is the interview part. So that's kind of where it all started for me.
Very cool. Well, I have to speak from a personal standpoint. I know we've done a couple of interviews, and you always make it fun. You always make it exciting and never a dull moment. So keep up the great work.
Well, thank you. We have this mantra. I call it infotainment. Deliver the information in an entertaining fashion, because as we all know, sometimes the stuff can get a little dry. So let's have a little bit of fun with it. Let's have a little bit of levity, or do something to make it really, really super interesting, which I would say 99.9% of it is super interesting and fascinating. Yeah. I'm just learning new stuff and talking to really interesting, cool, smart people is something that I find eternally fascinating as well.
That's great. That's great. Well, you do a great job of it.
Thank you.
So on that note, over the course of the years that you've been doing this, do you have any particular interviews that you would characterize as either the most unusual or the funniest, that stand out from kind of the ordinary?
Well, I mean, it's almost kind of like picking your favorite
and
child.
Don't say it was mine, okay?
Alan, yours was the top of the best one. So no, they're all very unique in their own way, and it's kind of like picking your favorite child. So I mean, but there was one that I did with Mike that really stands out to me, and it's probably one of our highest rated or viewed videos, is one that I did with Mike Duncan from BankJoy. And it was actually his idea. He said, hey, let's do a video kind of like the carpool karaoke or the Jerry Seinfeld's comedians in cars getting coffee or something like that. So someone, oh my gosh, what a great idea, Mike. So he actually flew out to San Diego from Detroit. He rented a car. I brought down all my GoPros and all my cameras, and we just stuck them to the inside of the car. And he wanted to demo their mobile banking product, Joy. They call it Joy, which is the second half of their name, BankJoy. So, and we entitled the video a Joyride. So anyway, kind of a play on words there. But anyway, so that was probably one of the most unique. So we did an interview in the car as he was driving, and I had all the GoPros going, and we drove around Coronado and San Diego and stuff as he's demoing their mobile banking product, and we were just doing an interview there, and it was wonderful. It was a really fun time, and people loved it. So yeah, I want to do more of that type of stuff as we kind of get back to in-person things. So that was one of the ones that really kind of stuck out to me. But there's been so many that really are unique. So
I'll have to go check your archives and do that one. I didn't see it. I missed that one. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Just search Joyride and it'll pop right up. Perfect.
So in terms of people, celebrities, I know the one you mentioned obviously was memorable for you. Is there notable or memorable celebrities or credit union stars that pop into your head?
Well, a celebrity that pops into my head, Larry Fitzgerald, former wide receiver for Arizona Cardinals. I got to interview him at a Visa Payments Forum conference a few years back. And what really surprised me, Larry is a very sharp, bright guy. And he's very interested in fintech, which blew me away. And I was talking to the Visa people afterwards, and they were saying, don't be surprised if you see Larry Fitzgerald working or being a spokesperson or something like that for some fintech company here pretty soon, because he loves this stuff. So I got to interview him. So that was really cool. And just to kind of pick his brain on, obviously football and things like that. But that was a lot of fun. I interviewed Dan Marino one time. I actually got to do a whole hour sit down with him. So that was a lot of fun. And then also, the guy from Shark Tank. Oh gosh, his name escapes me. I got to interview him. Oh, I see his
Mr. Wonderful.
In front of me. What's that?
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful, the one who sits on the not Mark Cuban, but the one who sits on the other side. It's the Hershevitz.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe
he had a security software firm.
Yeah. And Robert Hershevitz. That's it. So I apologize. Apologize, Robert, if you're watching. But no, he was great too. I got to interview him and have an hour sit down with him as well. So those are kind of the celebrity things that are fun. But as far as like credit union rock star, superstar, things like that, they're all superstar. I mean, I'm going to give you the politically correct answer here, but there was one that really kind of, my whole thing with interviewing people is being authentic and being honest and really displaying your expertise. Try not to script things too much, or don't read from a piece of paper. I had that happen one time, and that wasn't very fun, and that didn't get very many views. So just come on and it's your time to shine. So basically, and capture your personality. That was another reason why I started CU Broadcast, is to capture these people's personality. and not only their expertise, but their personality as well. For example, the former early on in CU Broadcast's history, I had on Fred Becker. He was the former president and CEO of NAFQ. And for years leading up to before I started reading or launched CU Broadcast, I would always read stories in CU Times and CU Journal and stuff where Fred was quoted, and he just seemed like a really serious guy, really hard-nosed guy. And I went, but so I made myself kind of book an interview with him for CU Broadcast. I was very nervous because I thought he was going to be super serious and really hard-nosed. And I couldn't have been any more wrong. He was the nicest, funniest guy, and we became fast friends. And in our first interview, we started talking about Caddyshack of all things. So it was really refreshing, and that really kind of motivated me to do this even more so, just to kind of find out who people are, and not only how their expertise or what they do for a living, but who they are as a person. And you can kind of capture that in the interview. So that's kind of part of what we do as well. So it's just one small example of what really motivates me to do this, and what really keeps me going and keeps me high energy and the passion. So it's just kind of finding out people's personalities and what they're like, and along with their expertise. So yeah, so kind of a long-winded answer to a very short question.
No, that's great. Love the stories. So I'm going to give you an opportunity. I'll turn the table back over to you. We do have a number of our shareholders that are still on the line and listening to this segment. Is there anything that you'd like to ask them, or I'll even open it up to our attendees to ask Mike questions?
Yeah, sure.
If any of you have any questions, use the chat function. But in the meantime, is there anything else, Mike, that advice, counsel, guidance that you have for those credit union executives that are attending today's meeting?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we hear all the time, and it's that fail fast mantra that we hear again and again, but nothing could be more true than that. I mean, I've tried out so many things on CU Broadcast that have just crashed and burned. But I've learned from them, and maybe something that didn't work, I kind of reiterated, or I tried something new or similar to it, and it worked really, really well. So if I tell myself, if it didn't try that thing that failed, then this other thing that really succeeded would never have worked. So that really rings true to me. And then just keep that foot on that accelerator, keep moving forward, because it's, as we all know, times are changing so fast. So yeah, don't ever get rest on your laurels, so to speak. Yeah, just keep moving forward. And I think your members will really appreciate that. And coming from a member perspective, when my credit union out here in San Diego does some really cool things, technology-wise, leadership-wise, lending-wise, it really reaffirms my trust and my loyalty in them, because it shows that they get it, and that they are trying to do, and they're trying to move forward, and they are moving forward with what, maybe it's a new technology service or what have you, something like that. So, but it's just going to go, yeah, they get it. That's cool. So again, just reaffirms my faith, and that they get what's going on in the financial services industry, whether it's technology, lending, leadership, what have you. So yeah, so that would be my message to get out there.
Great,
so,
great.
That on the accelerator.
We'll keep it open. You don't have to use the chat. I just realized that you can unmute your microphones if you have a question for Mike. Any questions out there? Any comments anybody wants to make?
I would love to know what keeps people awake at night. What are some of the issues or concerns? Like, we started out at the top of the show with cybersecurity and crypto and things like that. Mm-hmm. What keeps people awake at night? What's going on out there that is is kind of a head scratcher?
Anyone care to comment?
Mike, this is Doug. I would just say, for me, is just the overall pace of everything. When you look at, you go to conferences and they talk about fintech or this or that. Yeah, it's just moving so rapidly. If it's just one thing, you're trying to get your arms around it, but I mean, they're just flying by.
And then it's another one. Yeah.
And you got to figure out which ones you really want to try to, wrap your arms around, because you can't possibly try to tackle all of them. So I think it's just the speed of innovation and the financial world around us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you said that, Doug, because earlier a couple of weeks ago, I did an interview with a guy from this company called Unify Money. And I'd never heard of them before or anything like that, but I kind of read their background and I found them super interesting. And that what they do, they handle digital wealth management, meaning that they'll help you manage your crypto investments, your NFTs, any art or collectibles, anything that's kind of digital or digitized. And I mean, I've known this has been out there, but I've never really kind of approached it head on before. And so this is something else a credit union has to wrap its head around, is digital wealth management and kind of managing cryptocurrency and NFTs and all this other stuff that's out there right now that we're all still trying to play catch up with. So that's exactly right. Cause yeah, I totally get that. I mean, things are going by at, a million miles an hour. So yeah.
Great. We do have another question that came in by chat. When talking to credit unions about shutting down overdraft, what novel ideas have you heard for replacing that lost non-interest income?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh my gosh. I think it's new lending opportunities, kind of getting creative out there in the lending space. I know some credit unions do like RV lending, there's solar lending, things like that to create new streams of revenue. Gosh, I just saw a story. I didn't read it, but I saw the headline, what financial institutions can do, how to replace that income. And I just saw it, like it was either earlier this week or late last week. And darn, I should have read that. But I saw the headline and said, oh, wow. And so I kind of saved it, but I haven't gone back and read it yet. But yeah, there's all sorts of ways out there. Those are just the two off the top of my head that I've heard. So yeah, just kind of getting creative in your with the lending space right now. So yeah.
I know that was one of the topics that you said is, current today at the beginning of our discussion here. From the conversations you had around the whole overdraft NSF issue, have you been able to get to how that started and why that trend and movement has got started and has picked up steam?
Yeah, I can't put a concrete reason on it, but a lot of things, I think it came out of COVID, where a lot of organizations kind of adopted this empathy message. And they just saw that these types of fees were kind of adding insult to injury, where a lot of people who were really struggling couldn't handle this type of stuff. I mean, they couldn't, and it just really put them deeper and deeper into the hole and made them kind of distrust their financial institution. So I think that was kind of a part of the foundation there. And again, this type of model or move isn't right for everybody, and that's what each credit union we've had on has talked about, and say, hey, this might not be for everybody. We've really done our due diligence and figured it out and how to make it work for us. So yeah, we had the CEO of University Credit Union out here in Southern California. He said it was another thing was they have a very strong DEI message, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that was part of it as well. They really saw that as kind of melding into jiving with their DEI messaging. So yeah.
Right. That makes sense. Great. Anyone else have any questions for Mike before we let him sneak away here?
And do some more interviews.
And do interviews today. What he does so well. I don't hear or see anything. So Mike, on behalf of AUX and all of its shareholders and staff, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. It's probably one less interview you get to do today. I realize that, but we were so happy to have you as part of this celebration of our 30th anniversary, and we look for continued interviews of interest from you. And again, thanks for being a part of this.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Yeah, this is an honor coming on here and then turning the tables, because that doesn't happen too often with me. So I'm happy to divulge whatever I can divulge, and yeah, happy to do this. And again, congratulations for you guys too. 30 years. That's pretty amazing. So that shows you that you guys are doing a lot right out there. So you guys are doing some great things out in the industry, and 30 years is a testament to that. So well done.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
You are welcome, guys. You're welcome.
All right.